Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Safe Hire 360 podcast. I am your host, Krista Milan. And on today's episode, I want to talk about something that almost every organization does, and that is the exit interview. And most companies consider them as an important part of the employee life cycle. And don't get me wrong, they absolutely have value. But here's the question I want you to think about today. Why are we waiting until someone has already decided to leave before we finally ask them how they're doing? By the time an employee is sitting across from HR filling out an exit questionnaire, the decision has already been made. Emotionally, mentally, they're already done. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the exit interview and why it comes too late. Because if the first honest conversation happens on someone's last day, you've already missed your opportunity. So why do people leave? One of the biggest myths in business is that employees leave because of money. Does compensation matter? Of course. But after years of talking with employees, leaders, and HR professionals, I've learned something. People rarely wake up one morning and quit because of one bad day. They leave after months, sometimes years, of feeling unheard, feeling invisible, feeling unsupported, feeling like nothing is ever going to change. It's a death by thousands of paper cuts. One ignored concern, one manager who never follows up, one toxic coworker that everyone knows about, one broken promise after another, and eventually, people stop raising concern. Then they stop caring. Then they start updating their resume. And by the time the leaders notice, someone else has already offered them what they couldn't find where they were. We're going to talk about the silence before the resignation. Here's something many leaders miss. Employees usually don't just quit first. They disconnect. The enthusiasm fades. The creativity disappears. They stop volunteering ideas. They stop participating in meetings. They do exactly what's required and nothing more. And many organizations make a mistake that this is stability. It's quiet. No one's complaining. Everyone must be fine. Not necessarily. Silence isn't always satisfaction. Sometimes silence is surrender. Employees often stop speaking because experience has taught them that speaking doesn't change anything. That one of the biggest dangers in a workplace is culture, not conflict, silence. That one of the biggest dangers in workplace culture is not conflict, it's silence. So what exit interviews should really tell us? Think about what an exit interview really is. It's a collection of lessons So think about what exit interviews really are. They're a collection of lessons that arrive too late. Imagine waiting until your smoke detector goes off after the house is already on fire. That's what many organizations unintentionally do. Exit interviews shouldn't be your primary feedback system. They should simply confirm what you already know. Because if an employee feels comfortable telling HR on this last day, why didn't they feel comfortable telling someone 6 months earlier? That's the real question. And often, the answer isn't about the employee. It's about the culture. So why don't we replace exit interviews with stay conversations? Instead of waiting until someone resigns, what if we could ask better questions while they're still here? Not performance reviews, not annual surveys, real conversations. Questions like, what part of your job gives you the most energy? What frustrates you the most? If you could change one thing about working here, what would it be? What can I do as a leader to better support you? Do you feel comfortable speaking up? Those conversations build trust. But here's the important part. If you're going to ask, you have to be willing to listen. Nothing destroys trust faster than asking for feedback and doing absolutely nothing with it. Employees don't expect perfection, but they do expect progress. Sometimes people simply want to know someone heard them, that someone cares. That they're not just another employee number, that they're not just another employee ID number. One phrase you've probably heard me use before is human-centered leadership. To me, that doesn't mean lowering expectations, doesn't mean avoiding accountability, doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means remembering that people aren't just workers. They're parents, caregivers, veterans, people going through divorces, people grieving, people struggling with stress that nobody sees. The strongest leaders don't ignore these realities. The strongest leaders don't ignore these realities. They recognize them. Because when people feel respected, trusted, and valued, performance usually follows. Healthy cultures don't happen because of a pizza party or gift cards. They happen because leaders consistently make people feel like they matter. So today I'd like to leave you with one question. If one of your best employees resigned tomorrow, would anything they tell you during their exit interview actually surprise you? Or have the warning signs been there all along? The organizations with the strongest culture don't wait for employees to leave before they start listening. They build trust every day. One conversation, one question, one act of leadership at a time. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Safe Hire 360 podcast. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who believes in workplace. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe and leave a review, and share this episode with someone who believes workplace can and should be better. And remember, people may join your company because of opportunity, but they stay because of how you make them feel. Till the next time, stay safe, stay human, and be a reason they stay.